Kim, who is your ideal franchise owner?
First and foremost, our ideal franchise owner has to respect children. And there's a big difference between liking kids and respecting children.
Mm,
Children deserve to be listened to and understood. You know, just about everybody likes kids. They think they're cute, pat them on the head and send them on their merry way.
mhm.
But Frank, you worked with children for years. You
Absolutely.
know, it's not always the easiest thing in the world,
Hmm.
but it's usually the children that are the hardest to deal with. They're the ones that really need the most extra love. You really need to tune in. You need to slow down and pay attention. Those are the people that we're looking for. And it doesn't require a degree in education in order to do that. It requires a certain skill set. So that's what we're looking for, is we're looking for that particular person. And at first we thought, of course, all ducklings owners are going to be teachers. You know, of course they are. They're going to be teachers. Better yet, they're going to be preschool teachers. And they're just going to
Hmm.
come in and they're going to run the best ducklings ever. And it's going to be perfect. And while we have preschool teachers as owners, and they are terrific, we've changed our perfect avatar to be a person who has a mind for business, but a heart for education.
That is so well said. Um, Kim, I just did a recent podcast with another founder who is in a different field altogether. Actually, she has, it's a medical school franchise for kids. And she thought, of course, doctors were going to want to be franchise owners. And I thought when I was starting my business that athletes were going to want to be franchise owners. And it wasn't that they didn't become franchise owners. It turns out they were not the best franchise owners. And I think same
Mm.
thing as you. I think that is so common in that for the folks that are watching or listening to this that are thinking of getting into franchising their company, they probably have this misperception of who they think is the ideal franchise owner. But you discovered exactly what I did, and I think also Dr. Mary did, and that was it comes down to business. It's always business first. They could have a passion for kids, they could have a passion for sports, they could have a passion for medicine, but ultimately it's having the interpersonal skills and having that realization that it's business first. Otherwise, you're not going to be around long.
Always. And you can teach certain skills. Sometimes business is one of them. You know, you can teach somebody to read a profit and loss report.
Hmm.
You can teach somebody certain things. One of the things that you can't teach is respect, and you can't teach passion.
Right.
So they really do need to come to the table with that skill set already there. I mean, that comes down to character. So finding out someone's character is paramount. Are they teachable? That's another thing that you need to figure out. If someone's not teachable,
Right.
then you've got to move on.
You, as the chief development officer, you're the one that's having to sniff this out though before you bring them aboard. Do you have any tips, tricks, or strategies on how you're able to decipher who's the person that meets that criteria or not?
It's really through connections and spending time with them, doing a lot of talking. Right now, I'm very fortunate that with our growth plan, we're keeping everything really close. We've decided to grow out of this central home base of Chester County, Pennsylvania,
Hmm.
and kind of grow out almost like rings on a tree where we're able to grow out. Okay, now we're going to go to the next ring, grow to the next ring. So everyone has been fairly local right now. So we're able to spend a lot of FaceTime, one-on-one time, really get to know our franchise owners or even our franchise hopefuls, as
Sure.
we've been calling them around Olympic season lately. So you don't have that Zoom filter
Yeah.
that things can get past you.
Well, because we know that people they're always on their best behavior during interviews. And I know that when I went through hosting discovery days, and I sold franchises myself for my company, especially early on. I came across a lot of people that, they put their best foot forward initially, and then the real person came out after they had signed the franchise agreement, got through training. But that's human behavior. That's what people do for jobs too. They're always on their best behavior on a job interview. So it's really takes a special, it takes more than a special person to be able to decipher who's good or bad for their brand. Have you guys thought about maybe using like an assessment tool, like a DISC or predictive index? Do you guys use anything like that?
We don't use it right now, and it's one of the things that I'm going to be implementing with the franchise company. It's not a set it and forget it. You don't like, oh, I'm going to create a franchise company. Here it is. Okay, goodbye. No,
Right.
it's this like constantly evolving thing. And it's what I love about it the most, because I'm this person that gets kind of bored easily, and I'm kind of itchy, and I'm, constantly moving. So I love the fact that you're like, I was that kid that painted her room like every season. My poor parents, I can't imagine how thick that paint was on my bedroom wall, but I'm constantly changing things. So the fact that, and thank goodness for this mastermind group I'm in, because the ideas that are just constantly flinging around. And one of the best ideas I've gotten recently was from Stephanie Copeland from Gideon
Yes, we
Math
know
and Reading,
Stephanie.
who was
Stephanie, we
who
had her
was
on our
just
show.
on. She has the most wonderful discovery day. She sends out this link and has the franchise prospect create a PowerPoint where they present themselves when
Nice.
they come for discovery day. And I'm just like, I told Stephanie, I was like, I'm stealing this idea. This is the greatest thing in the world. Because I think we get a little carried away sometimes, we being all of us,
Right.
where you start selling yourself a little bit. And I want the franchise prospect to sell themselves to us. Tell me why you should have a Ducklings. Tell me why it is that you want to do this. Why is it that you want to leave what you're doing now
Mm-hmm.
and have a Ducklings location and do this every day, learn to do what it is we've created over 30 years, work with our team. Why should we make you a part of our family?
That's so smart. Kim, that is a brilliant lesson for folks trying to get into franchising their business. Because it's sort of, we're kind of giving them the warning that when you first franchise, you're kind of, I don't want to say desperate, but you're kind of desperate to sell or award a franchise, but you have to remain steadfast and just patient and not blink and award a franchise to the very first person that wants to write you that check. And you've kind of spun it
Yes.
around on that, spun it around, and you're forcing them to sell you on why you should accept them. And I think that's so smart. And it's difficult though. It's not easy when you're starting out and you're trying to keep the lights on.
Someone that we worked with early on said that she did a keynote or something at one point, Kay Ainsley with MSA Worldwide. And she said that she asked a group of franchisors, how many people in this room, if you had the opportunity to not sell to the very first person you sold a franchise to, how many people would undo it? And she said, almost everybody in the room will raise their hand.
Uh-huh.
Because with that first sale, you're so excited, like somebody wants to buy you,
Right.
that you're not seeing past the sale.
True. And the culture has now been set. That's you're starting the foundation from there.
You're absolutely right. So you have to be very careful not to step in that bear trap.
Yeah. Okay. What about think about your franchisees for a moment. What are some of the traits on what they actually do that makes the most successful franchise owner? What separates the great from the mediocre?
Franchisees that work full time in their business are always the most successful. We have franchisees that are doctors of education. We have franchisees that are former CPAs. We have franchisees that were insurance actuaries. The ones that, at least for the first year, who are boots on the ground in their location. Now, you have to hire a qualified child care director. That's a requirement of state licensing. And even if an owner would qualify as a director, we recommend that they don't act as their own director because you can't possibly be there from morning till night. It's better to have, and it's also nice to kind of have a teammate, somebody that you can bounce ideas off of, someone that's going to work with you. It's lonely at the top. It's nice to have a team. So someone who is there to manage the staff, the owner is there to manage the staff, meet with the parents, and just be a presence. And then after the first 9 months to a year, then if they want to start just kind of backing off slightly and not be there as full time, then that's fine. But those owners that committed to that full time on-site schedule for that first year, they're the ones that are the most successful, always.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.